What is going on? I'm Cole. I'm here today because I just recently had my first auction on Whatnot, and I wanted to provide some tips to some people for first-time sellers. I also gained about 50 followers during my first auction, and I just wanted to provide some tips, at least from what I thought made the auction go a little bit smoother, but also some tips that might help you gain some followers if you are planning to have your first auction. Once again, this was my first auction, so by no means am I a pro, but I think there were a few things that I would like to help people out with tip-wise, but also, just to give you the general idea. So I think first things first, if you don't know what Whatnot is, this is for you. If you do, you can probably skip forward a little bit because this part's probably not going to be that important. But Whatnot is currently a new app that you can get on your phone, and it is an auction app. So loosely, in your pocket, you have people auctioning off comics all the time, and also Funkos, trading cards, tons of different collectibles. I think you can do records. I think some people even do clothes on there. It's all over the place. If you do not have a Whatnot, I do have a link down below that if you sign up using my link, you can get $10 credit to that. And also, if you do, I have my link below and you can add me on Whatnot, because following me, you'll be able to see my new sales. And every time I go live, it'll give you a notification for that. But Whatnot is just it's this new site that's kind of replacing things like eBay, Mercari, and a lot of people really like it because for the seller, the one thing that is really nice is that you pretty much go through, like for me, my first auction was an hour and 15 minutes and I end up getting rid of like 30 to 40 comics in that time, where if I put them up on eBay, it might take me anywhere from 1 to 12 months to sell that item, So that is kind of the gist of what Whatnot is. Now you're kind of wondering, how do you do it? If you are a buyer, you just look at your phone and you can bid on stuff. And go from there. It's fairly simple to use. I think it's pretty straightforward, but I think there are some more better tutorials for that, and this is probably not what it's going to be. But for sellers, I just wanted to tell you, the one thing you need to know is if you are running this, you currently need to use your phone. When I had my setup, what I did is I have a tripod that has a phone holder. I had my phone plugged in. I had it posted on. I have a slab stand that I use to display the books, and I had a light behind that so that the lighting looked good on that. I also had my laptop in front of a little area on the desk so that I could read the chat. Because you are using your phone to do this, it is harder to read the chat. You are actually starting everything from your phone too, so that it was a little bit hard to get used to, at least for me. Doing that, but I made sure to have the laptop so I still was able to read the chat. I know a lot of people use tablets, because if you're also using your tablet, you can add stuff on your tablet, look at the chat on your tablet too. And the tablet is a little bit bigger screen, and it actually works from what I can tell with Whatnot. I personally do not have a tablet that will work with it, so I'm unable to confirm that, but I know a lot of people use iPads for that. Now I just kind of want to get into a few tips that I had that really at least helped me go along. One thing I would definitely recommend, the first tip that you might not think of, if you're going to be like me, the whole time I was doing it, I was trying to engage the chat. I know a lot of people really like that, talking, telling some stories, talking about what's in the book, doing all the little stuff to keep it entertaining. You can also play music or even, I think, movies in the background. So I did have music playing in the background, but the one thing you might not think of is you should probably have 2 to 3 waters, and if you need some caffeine, maybe some caffeine around too. The hard thing is you're going to be continuously talking for almost an hour. Your throat's going to get dry. It's going to get hard to keep talking, and that was just one thing that I kind of prepared for that. I grabbed a bunch of drinks and I was ready to go, but I think some people might not always think about that. Tip number 2, I think one of the things that they mentioned in the onboarding is that if you're doing 30-second auctions to 1-minute auctions, they did not see too much different in the sales. I actually just started right from 30-second auctions. The one thing I will let you know is that if you are not great under pressure, starting 30-second auctions can be kind of crazy at first, because you don't realize how long 30 seconds really is when you're putting something up, you're trying to talk about a book, and then you're trying to find the next book. So there can be maybe some lag between books. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it could seem kind of high stakes if you start off in 30 seconds. So I might recommend doing the first 1 to 4 kind of in a minute, unless you already have everything prepared to go, then 30 seconds is probably the way. But that was one thing I noticed for me personally that seemed pretty hard at first, was doing the 30 seconds. I seemed kind of stressed kind of doing it. I had talked to a few people that were there, and they said it seemed fairly normal, and most people also deal with this, so it's not crazy, but I don't know if that's good or bad. And that's just one thing where if you're sitting there doing your first auction, starting with the 30-second timer can maybe seem kind of stressful. So if you don't do great in high pressure situations, that could be something that I think could be an issue. So tip number 3, this is mostly only for people who use Android phones, and I don't know necessarily that this is a tip. It's more of a troubleshooting technique, but I know I recently was watching Average Will, which if you aren't following Average Will, I'll have his information up here. Go follow him on YouTube. But I was watching him talk on his Sunday stream, and one of the things he mentioned was that he couldn't bring up his Whatnot app because when he opened it up, it just was black screen and he couldn't figure it out. And I know that I had that same issue when I was trying to start my thing. So the one thing that is cool about Whatnot is they do have a Discord, so you can talk to other people, figure stuff out. They also have a tech support line for people who are in it that you can email. But, for me, I was starting to do a lot of my setup for a Sunday auction on Friday night, and I was having these issues, and I was freaking out because I was like, I doubt that the tech support's going to be there. I don't know when they would work, but I'm guessing they're not going to answer emails on Saturday. So I'm kind of freaking out. I joined the Discord. I find out the issue is there is a known bug with the Android app. So if you end up getting this, and this is actually something I think that can happen to buyers too, if you end up clicking on or holding down on the app, going into the app info, and then clearing the storage, it will actually work for you. The only issues with that is that you will have to re-enter your username and password, which for most people probably isn't that big of a deal. And there is kind of an annoyance that when you go into an auction, it'll say you're a first-time buyer, and you'll have to click those 5 boxes all over again, which once again is more of an inconvenience than anything, but that is an easy tip. I know that I was having issues where I was getting frustrated with the app, and I just wanted to put that in there for fellow Android users in case you run into that same issue. And tip 4, I think once again, this is one of those things where I think that depending on how you think and how you need to do stuff, this is more for me that helped me make things go smoothly. And I would recommend to have organization the best way possible. I actually went out, I bought a brand new short box just because I knew that I wanted to sort all the stuff that I was going to sell. For me, I had some buy it nows, I had some giveaways, and I had the stuff that I was going to auction. So I had multiple dividers in this where I separated all of these things. So if I needed to grab something, I knew exactly where they were. I put all my books in alphabetical order. And the one thing that I did is that once I put a book up for auction, if somebody didn't buy it, I just put it in the back of the stack. That way I knew once I had gone through everything, once I started hitting books I saw, I'd already gone through stuff. So I could ask people if they wanted me to put stuff up that hadn't been up before. That helped. Another thing I did for organization is I buy these magazine storage units. I think you can get 4 of them for $25 on Amazon, which isn't necessarily cheap, but I like using them for storing the comics that I finished reading, stuff I need to ship out, stuff like that. But every time somebody bought an individual comic, I stuck it in there. One of the things I also kept was Post-it notes so that I could put who won it, stick it on there. At the end of your auction, when you're going through and you're creating all these labels, it's going to tell you who won and what books they won. So that's not as important as I thought it might be. But when you're kind of going through, it gives you that double check, right? So you're looking at the invoice, you see, Comic Book Poser bought this. You have a sticky note that says Comic Book Poser on it, and it's the same book that you had. That way you're kind of going in there. I personally didn't do any doubles of any books just because for me that's something that could get kind of confusing, I think, and especially on a first time auction, I didn't want to have anything else that would cause confusion. So I didn't really try to do that. But, if you are doing multiple books, there is a chance that one of yours is a corner ding and you let somebody know. And if, Comic Book Poser didn't get the corner ding one and another person did, you might not do that. And also, I'll have Comic Book Poser's info up here. He definitely helped me a lot with Whatnot. And if you have any questions, I'm still not technically done with it, but feel free to hit me up. I'm on Instagram. You know where to find me if you have, and I can try and help with some of the questions that I have. But I would say, getting an organization of at least what you want. Also, make sure you have like 3 or 4 pens. If you're anything like me, sometimes when you're writing, you set a pen somewhere and then you can't find it. But if you want another pen, you might need it. So it's always nice to have that. Tip 5, I think this one might also be kind of one of those things that just seems like, the general concept, but just like YouTube, just like any sort of content creating platform, that's kind of what Whatnot is. And you need to do something to separate yourself. So, there's a lot of people that do a lot of different things out there. I know one of the people that I know that does something fairly different is Joe King Comics. He usually does like, he has mystery boxes that are usually like a $16 floor and a $20 ceiling, but almost everything can win a hit prize. He's selling books or mystery boxes that are said to have a ceiling of $20. And he's selling them for well over 50, 60, $60 sometimes, because people are interested in those prizes and hitting those prizes, which is very smart. It's good marketing. And, some people might look at that and like, I would hate to get that. And if I don't hit one of the prizes, I'm going to be upset. But there are people out there that are just genuinely looking to hit that prize. So that is a good idea. I know the one thing I did personally to separate myself is I had, I tried to do a lot of promotion on Instagram and even TikTok a little bit. I even used my YouTube to promote it a little bit, which, promotion always helps. But one of the big things I wanted to push were these low stake mystery boxes. They were about $18. I had a few keys that, I got for better deals. So I just put those books in there, and it made it so that a lot of people were very interested. I think I sold out of those within the first 20 minutes. Big shout out again to Comic Book Poser, because he ended up getting 6 of them. But, if you have something like that people are interested in coming and you're promoting for, it will get people in to do it. I've seen other people do, where, for trading cards, they'll open the packs up and you like pick a team and pay for that. So, I think the thing is to find something different. If you just want to sell a bunch of comics, that is good too. But, sometimes that might not separate you from people, and that might not be the biggest way to do it. Another thing that I've noticed a lot of people say, and I think that you should know this, especially on your first one, if there are books, the dollar bid stuff is mainly for some of the bigger people. I know me personally, there were certain books that I had more money in it than $1, but I put up for dollar auctions because at the end of the day, if I paid like $3 or $4 and I'm getting somebody who might come back, and especially, do a sale like that, you can always get them. Usually when somebody pays for that shipping, they're probably going to keep coming back. So they might start getting in bidding wars with other people who are also, because they've already paid for shipping. So, you do need to take a loss, I think, on some things maybe, but if you're not willing to take those losses, just make sure you list those at a price that you are comfortable selling it for. In worst case scenario, somebody just does not buy it. And this is my final tip, but I think this is the thing that really got me to be able to get over 50 followers during my first live stream in only an hour. And the thing is that I did giveaways. One of the things that I was pushing to promote to get people into my auction was I had a slab that was a 9.4 CBCS of Uncanny X-Men 302. I could be wrong on that number, but it was a slab that really didn't hold a lot of, I like the cover. It was cool. I ended up getting it for so cheap that it was worth it for me to pick it up, but I had no real connection to it. That book meant not really anything to me, but it was cool, So I was willing to part with that just by saying, if we get to 50 subs, I'll come in. And the one cool thing is that when you do these giveaways in Whatnot, you can make one of the stipulations. One, that, they have to be in the US, because you end up having to pay the shipping for these. That is the unfortunate thing. But 2, you can also make it that everyone has to follow you to do it. So just by having them come in, they see that there's a giveaway, they click on that giveaway link, they're already entering you. So the cool thing is, because of that feature, I think adding giveaways does help, because it just gets people to push to come in. So if you're promoting some sort of a thing that people are maybe interested, you could probably get a good amount of subscribers. Do you have to give away a slab every time? No. I've seen some auctions where you see people putting up, not necessarily no disrespect to it, but let's say like an Edge of Spider-Verse #2 over there. That is a facsimile edition book that you could probably go to your local comic shop, hopefully right now, and buy for like $4.30, after taxes or whatever, and you could gain people, because people are going to come in. If they see a giveaway, they're going to click it, they're going to follow. I don't know. You can technically probably unfollow people, but at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people are just going in, finding these and then unsubbing people because they did it. I've noticed, it's been about over 24 hours since I've been recording this, and I haven't really seen any down play in subscribers. I mean, who knows? Maybe a week from now I'll say, hey, I'm back to 70 subscribers or something like that. But I think that kind of helps, putting a little bit of money into something, especially if you have like a few cool variants that you paid cover price for. If you're willing to put those up, it will bring people in and, keep them in. Every time somebody follows you, that means the next time you go live, they're getting a notification. And even if you put like giveaway again in your title, that's going to bring more people back. And I think, at the end of the day, the more eyes you have on you is what you're going to get. I mean, I think the biggest, craziest thing that I had is I had an Iron Man 300. That was a book that I considered a garbage book that was given to me from Comic Tom 101. And no offense, but if you subscribe to his box, you usually get like, cool covers or whatever, but they're nothing, they're dollar bin books for the most part, but that's kind of what the boxes are. And, that one ended up selling for $8 for no real reason. I don't think there's any key. I looked it up when it came out. There were no key to it. I mean, it is hollow foil, which is cool. But, sometimes you might have a book that you don't think people are going to want, and they end up coming in and starting a bidding war because they think that cover is cool or for whatever reason. So, I mean, that's the thing. You never know what's going to sell, but also, getting more people in there is going to generate you to get better things. And once again, I am a complete novice when it comes to this. I've literally done one sale, but I had a lot of fun. I know that, a lot of people were like, well, how do you think you did? And I, my biggest thing was, how do you think I did? You were there watching it. Let me know if you were there and you watched me on my first sale. Let me know if you have any tips for me that you think I can improve on, because, at the end of the day, I would like to do something fun that gets people to come in and want to be a part of it. I really had a good time doing it. It was a lot more fun than I thought. I also sweated a lot more than I thought that I would, because going through those so quickly like that, it gets pretty crazy and nerve-wracking. But I think Whatnot has been a pretty fun platform so far. I know that, some people will be upset because there are certain downfalls, but that's the thing you need to know. The thing about Whatnot is if you have big books, one of the things I did is I had some big books that I was selling. I know I sold a first Omega Red and a first Damian Wayne. I had them paired with like second appearance books too. But one of the things I did is I knew that I didn't want to put those books up for auction, because if I sold a book I paid $25 for and I ended up only getting $7, I'd be pretty upset. So I just put them in the buy it now. And the cool thing about that is, you can list them for maybe a price over what you actually want to get for them. In worst case scenario, you can just continuously say, hey, I've got stuff in the buy it now. If you don't like that price, let me know. I can change it, because you can change these things on the fly. Some people are just going to end up seeing it. That's a book they want, they're going to pay that money, because I usually would put it for, cheaper than you'll get it for eBay, but still, a price that I'm not losing anything on, but I'm able to move it quicker. And as I'm packaging all this stuff up, I spent yesterday pretty much, packaging stuff. I have a small child, a newborn, and when he was sleeping, I was kind of packaging stuff after that. So, there are other ways to do it if there's stuff that you think is there. But, it's all about having fun. I think the one thing that I did personally that also helped me is I've been watching a good amount of auctions, and at least, participating in some too, because at the end of the day, seeing what other people do and get success on, like anything else, it's going to help you. So if you've never used Whatnot and you just want to go in there and sell, you're probably maybe not going to do great. I would recommend, watching a few. Hey, maybe even watch mine. You can follow me down below. But, I think it's a good platform. I think it has its purpose. I don't think it's the perfect platform either. But at the end of the day, I think it's the best platform for collectors to find other collectors and be able to work together to get some good deals. When you find people that have a ton of subscribers, you might see people overpaying for books, depending on how they sell them. But you can also find, people like me who are selling books that want to get out to people, and you can probably get a fairly reliable price. So that's kind of what I had. If you have any questions for me, leave them down below. I'll make sure to answer them if I have an answer. Some of the stuff is still new and I'm going to keep going, but I just kind of wanted to come forward and say, some of my thoughts, some of the tips that I had, because, I think, at the end of the day, getting 50 followers in one stream, I think for me seems like pretty good success, considering I pretty much doubled what I started that day with. So, at the end of the day, having eyes on you is what's going to help. So, give it a try if it's something you're interested in. Oh, one thing I didn't mention is you do have to apply for this, so make sure you do. One of the things that I did that I think helped me was I had a bunch of books that I thought would be good books that are kind of hot, and I took pictures of them, and I said, this is what I'm going to sell. And they seem to respond to that fairly good. So once again, that was me. That's how I felt about Whatnot. Let me know your thoughts if you use it. And if you have questions, let me know too, because I'll, if I can answer it, I will do that. So once again, I'm Cole. Thank you for stopping by, and peace.